Yes.
Yes,
Okay, that's fantastic. Thank you very much. Right, so earlier on we finished the areas that we needed to cover as far as the module is concerned. Okay, so we basically looked at marketing concepts, we've looked at the marketing mix, the various P's of marketing. We've also looked at segmentation, targeting, and positioning. In marketing mix, we looked at product and service strategy. We looked at pricing strategies. We looked at integrated marketing communications. We looked at distribution. And the last thing we looked at was consumer behavior. So those were the areas that we covered. So would really appreciate if you could go back and read upon them further, do some further research on them, maybe look at a few more concepts or theories that are related to these particular areas. Do look upon some corporate examples for them so that you can relate to them and how they work and so on and so forth. Right, so now we're going to be talking about the coursework. Okay, so hopefully you've had a look at the coursework, you've looked at both the assessments that are there for you, and you've got a reasonable picture in terms of what needs to be done. I mean, when I read it for the first time, I thought, gosh, this is an easy piece of coursework. I mean, this thing, both of them I'm sure you can finish within the next few days, to be honest with you. It shouldn't even take you a week to actually complete them. But I think you've got quite a bit of time on your hands to actually get through them. I think we're talking about, say, 6 weeks or so to actually complete. But let's now go ahead and share the screen over here. Okay, so all of this I'm sure you're familiar with. As you can see, there are 2 assessments, each of them carrying 10 each. Your deadline is the 6th of May, so plenty of time out over there in which to actually get it done. So you've roughly got about 6.5 weeks, actually, to be honest. Dr. Vincent will be your local faculty member. I've interacted with him at several occasions, so I'm sure he'll be able to guide you appropriately and go through your tutorial sessions without any issues whatsoever. So you're all generally aware of things like learning outcomes and so on and so forth. Now we're going to come to the first assessment. So it's, as you can see over there, we're talking about an assessment which has got a weighting of 50%. Okay? And it's a report which has a maximum of 3,000 words. And essentially you have to, excuse me 1 second. So just trying to open something up at the moment. So just give me a second. Just the okay, so just going to go back to sharing that particular screen again. Right, so we have got about 3,000 words in which we need to obviously complete this particular piece of work. Okay. That's your word limit at the end of the day. And if you can see over here, as a marketing consultant, so you're an independent consultant, you're working from outside of the organization, okay, and you're required to go ahead and choose an organization of your choice, okay. This is supposed to be done in tandem with your lecturer. Now I'm going to leave that between you and Dr. Vincent to actually go ahead and make the choices on that one. Now I think we've seen something along these lines previously, where I've said, you can choose any organization that you want. It can be a product-based organization. It can be a service-based organization. That's not an issue, okay? I think earlier on there was a question which came up in the chat box where they could choose Samsung. I don't see any reason why not. The only thing that I would say is choose an organization for which you can actually obtain information. Okay? So ensure that you're actually able to get data, able to do some research on that particular organization. As long as you have that available data, then I think you're generally all right. So you have to evaluate and come up with a marketing report covering certain aspects of marketing. And I can see over there, the first one is critically examine the current market position
of one of your chosen organization's products. Okay, so please keep that in mind. We're talking about one of the products that's there within the organization. Now, sometimes students ask the question, can I choose more than one product? And I usually tell people, my advice is, don't take more than uh, one particular, uh, product. You can either choose a product or a product line. That's what I would advise you to do. Okay? Earlier, somebody's talking about Samsung. So, if we're talking about Samsung, then let's say you're talking about, shall I say, mobile phones. You do that. No? That's a product line. Obviously, there are different mobile phones that come with that. Or if you want to be even more specific, you can choose a specific mobile phone. Okay, like maybe you can narrow it down to a smartphone, or even down to saying one of the latest models, like say for instance, the Samsung S21 Ultra. Okay? So the point is though, if you choose beyond one product line, then it makes your assessment even more complicated. Okay, that's the whole point that we're looking at here. So we try to narrow it down to a specific product or a specific product line. And if the case is a service-based organization, then yeah, you're looking at a specific service, okay, which you can actually look at. So again, I'll leave that with you in terms of what choices you would like to be making about that. Okay, so that's the first thing you have to keep in mind. So you choose the product or the service that you want to focus on, and then look at the current market positioning. So what is the position that you have, within the market space that you're looking at? Now we're talking about positioning. So we have looked at various aspects of positioning. Remember, I'm going to write this down in chat.
Did we lose him? I think the
Yes,
I think we
yeah.
Okay, can you all hear me now? Hi, can you hear me?
it's breaking.
Yes, yes.
Okay, fine. So I was asking the question about, I was looking at the question of positioning. So I'm going to write this down in the chat box. In the chat box, you can see, look at a mass position. We're looking at a niche position that you can focus on. You can look at a high-tech position. You can look at a high-touch positioning. You can see that there are different, positionings, positions that you can actually adopt and you can work out. So what you're trying to see over here, when you're going back to sharing the screen once again, so you have to evaluate the positioning of that particular product. And when you're evaluating it, you're asking yourself some fundamental questions. The questions you ask yourself is that positioning working? Is it actually doing the job? Is it actually helping it to be successful? Okay? Or is it falling short in some form or manner? Okay? So really that's where the evaluation is going to be coming from. That's where the analysis is going to be. Roland, we looked at high touch just before we broke up. In the morning, we looked at that. So you should have it there. High tech and high touch. We looked at the two different streams of positioning. So what we're looking at, we're just going to write those questions down.
Stan, I have a question.
Yep.
Is there any source that actually, comments on a particular company's marketing performance?
I'm sure there are likely to be some kind of, journal articles which are likely to be in place, I'm sure some people have made some analysis in the past, like industry analysis, for instance. It's highly probable. Okay, in fact, I've actually seen that for certain other companies available on certain databases. Yeah, there are, there is information available, yes.
Thank you.
So, is the positioning strategy working? What are the areas in which it is falling short? Also, like, how successful is it? are customers relating to the positioning adopted? Okay, so this is essentially what you're focusing on in terms of the analysis of your current market position. So you're generally asking these questions and you're coming up with your own views, your own opinions on this. Okay, very importantly though, you have to comment about it critically. In your personal opinion, is it all working within that particular framework at the end of the day?
Hi, do you mean critically evaluate on the product? On the
Sorry?
particular product?
I can't.
You mean analyze the product, is it?
No, analyze the positioning of the product.
The positioning of it.
Yeah, see, it says there, if you look at it now, the position of one of your chosen organization's products. I've highlighted it now. That's what you're looking at. So based, what is the position that has been adopted and what do you believe is actually happening in that? Yep, we didn't make a mention of that earlier on, that that is looking at a single product or a single product line. And yes, it can be anything as long as you've got the information attached to it. So that's what you need to look at. Then what you're looking at over here, based on the analysis in your first task, you have to go ahead and choose 3 marketing objectives. Remember, we have spoken about objectives before. We have spoken about marketing objectives and sales objectives and so on and so forth. So you can see they're asking a question. What are the 3 marketing objectives that you should actually be choosing for your organization for this specific product? Shiraz, I just gave you an example. I just gave an example 3 minutes ago for an example that you looked at based on a company that your classmates just now said, Samsung, remember? So, so I gave you, in fact, 3 different examples within the organization.
Okay, thank you.
So you need to come with 3 marketing objectives. Now, just to remind people, objectives that we have spoken of previously. We have made a mention of awareness. Okay, we've made a mention of selling. We have also made a mention of branding. Sorry, that will come up in the chat box. We also made a mention of positioning. We didn't make a mention of image. We didn't make a mention of reputation. I also made a mention of customers and target segments, that you're looking at over there. Also, we did make a mention of things like, say, profits and turnover. So again, these are also things that you need to look at in terms of what you believe are going to be appropriate. Sorry, the turnover, I misspelled that, but I should give a general idea. So these are different marketing objectives that we have made a mention of. So you need to try to work out for this particular product or product line or service that you've chosen for your company, what are the marketing objectives that you would like to actually achieve for it? What do you think is going to be appropriate for it? And very important, it's not just stating these objectives, as you can see there, it's saying state and justify. So explain why you have actually chosen these specific marketing objectives and link them to the positioning analysis that you've done in task 1. So please ensure that relationship is seen. So in task 1, you've worked out the positioning of the product or product line or service. And task 2, based on the positioning, what are the marketing objectives that you believe should be achieved for your client organization? So I hope that makes sense now. You can see the flow coming about over there. Going on right now into task 3. Okay. And as you can see over there, you're talking about the organization's marketing plans. Okay. So what you're looking at over here is that you're looking at what are the plans you're going to be making to ensure that your product is going to succeed. Okay? And if you look at it actually, it is linked up with task number 4. Task number 4 is a detailed marketing communication plan. Okay? So in other words, the you've got the overarching marketing plans, and within that, you've got this very specific Marcom plans that you need to go ahead and build into. So both task 3 and 4 are related to each other. Now, how can we go about making the marketing plans? Now, we have looked at the marketing mix yesterday. So you can use those tools of the marketing mix, the P's of marketing, to go ahead and build your plans. So just to remind you, if in case you've chosen a product, it would be appropriate for you to look at the 4 P's. The 4 P's of product, place, or sorry, I'm trying to type this out in the chat box. Place or distribution, obviously pricing. But just to remind people, when you're talking about product, you need to look at how the product is going to be projected to people. Things like the features, the functionality, for instance. Is it going to be a convenience product? Is it going to be a shopping product? Is it going to be a specialized product, for instance? Is it going to be an unsought product? So you can see what strategy are you going to be adopting for the product that you're actually going to be talking about. Pricing, again, it's about trying to decide what pricing strategy are you going to go ahead and put forward. You have to be specified. Are you going to look at maybe a cost plus? Are you going to look at a premium? Are you going to look at psychological pricing? And again, whenever you choose it, please therefore focus on how is that pricing strategy going to work, and why have we chosen that specific pricing strategy? Why didn't you choose the others? You have to justify your choice. And when we talk about place distribution, again, what we saw yesterday, store retailing, non-store retailing. What are you going to look at? And within store retailing, what are your places of distribution? Within non-store retailing, what are your places of distribution? And remember, you can have more than one choice in this area. You can have both store and non-store. And in store, you can come up with, we're going to look at things like, say, are you looking at convenience stores? Are you looking at mass merchandisers? Are you looking at, for instance, going online? Are you going and looking at maybe using television channels and so on? Whatever. You go, as long as you justify your choices, then you find that you can actually go ahead and explain all these various elements at the end of the day. Yeah? So that is where your marketing plan will revolve around these elements. But you find that the 4th P, okay, would be your integrated marketing communications, or your promotion, okay, is what we're looking at. This obviously you find that becomes a separate task by itself. So please remember, look at the IMC mix, the elements. Just to remind people, we spoke about advertising, we spoke about public relations, we spoke about direct marketing, personal selling, promotion. See, these are the various elements of the marketing mix. Okay? So you have to go ahead and explain which of these would you be using and why, and how would you be using. For instance, if you're talking about advertising, they say you need to advertise, you have to answer questions like, where will you advertise? Print media, electronic media, physical media, digital media, social media, and so on and so forth. And how is it going to be done? For instance, we're talking about, going into print media. Are you going to advertise in newspapers? Are you going to advertise in journals or magazines? You have to be able to explain this in some detail. If you're going to go ahead and advertise on social media, which areas of social media would you be advertising in? Okay. Are you going to look at maybe Facebook, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, whatever, And also, remember we spoke about things like buzz marketing, viral marketing, or guerrilla marketing and so on. You can bring those elements into the picture. And you can go ahead and use that to expand these various IMC elements and integrate that into your plan. And again, like I said, the big thing is that you have to look at it from the point of view of why are we doing it? What is the rationale behind doing it? And just to highlight it here on the screen, you can see we're doing this for the next 3 years. So we're starting in 2021. You have to put a plan which goes across to 2024. That's what you have to do. Now, just to remind people, somebody's asking a question about logistics organizations. Of course you can. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a service. So, and I said you can use services. So in case you're bringing up services, then it would be a good idea to include the next 3 P's of people, process, and physical evidence. Now, I do admit that not every P might be applicable. When you're talking to a logistics company, will physical evidence, actually go ahead and play a big role? It might not necessarily do so. But if you're talking about a hospitality industry, then yes, physical evidence will play a big role. So you have to be able to work out and mention. So this is what I'm saying. When you're talking about the marketing plans, do use the marketing mix, the elements of the marketing mix. So like I said, just repeat myself once again. If you're talking about a product, then do use the first 4 P's. If you're picking on a service, then use the 7 P's model. So that's the approach that I'd like you to keep in mind. Yes, Said, you raised a hand. What is it?
Where does cost come into the picture? The marketing cost.
Sorry, what is it?
Where does marketing cost come into the picture?
I mean, it's up to you. If you want to put in marketing costs, you can do that, but they haven't really asked for it.
Okay, great. Thanks.
So that's the first
And then,
forecast.
and then
Yes?
in what do you call this? Ascertaining your current position of marketing. Just now you said that we can make judgment based on awareness of the product, selling of the products. So does any of this need data? I mean, like how many people are actually aware of your products and all? If it does need data, so can you explain how does a marketing company or organization use this data? So how maybe how do they get the data? Any
They
tools?
get the data from customer feedback. Okay, customers obviously feedback and tell them obviously even businesses themselves will actually create their own positioning, isn't it? Because they want to put a certain way. For instance, people like Rolex, people like Omega have already created a positioning on the basis of image, branding, reputation, and pricing. The fact that they're actually selling a watch at 10,000 pounds clearly indicates it's not a mass product. It has to be very much of a very, very small niche. You see, you can actually pick on what the organization's activities are themselves and use that in your analysis. Also, things like, where are they advertising it? Okay, through which media are they going in and coming up with these kind of messages? All of that information can be used also to talk about the position. Does that make sense to you, Mohan?
Yeah. So we are
It's
assuming
not just about
based
the
on the
customer
activities.
Well, no, you see, when you do research on that, for instance, just something like that, it's not very difficult to find out the pricing, isn't it? It's also not very difficult to find out where are they communicating or how they're communicating in the market space. Right? So you find that, and plus, there are likely to be some industry-based analysis or databases which would have actually made a comment on this. Like I was saying earlier on, we do have some comments which are made and which are available in database. For instance, I was reading an article on British Airways about a couple of months ago. So again, that is readily available, on online databases again. So you can use these inputs to actually go ahead and create your analysis, and therefore by justify your analysis also. Because a lot of databases are useful these days. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So these are the first 4 tasks that we can actually see out over here. But then if you look at the next task, the fifth task, they're saying you need to have an annexure to the report, like appendices. Okay? And the appendices, you have to go ahead and bring exactly what Mohammed was actually making a mention of, outlining the key areas of studies and research you have undertaken in a Gantt chart. Okay? So you have to actually create a Gantt chart, a timeline, which indicates how you've gone about doing your work. So how long have you spent in maybe, for instance, doing research and reading upon literature and putting them together and putting the report together and so on and so forth. Okay? So you're actually required to do that, and also obviously have to specify literature and other evidence resources, which obviously comes in your reference list. So that's not really too big an issue. The annexion is going to be fairly simple and straightforward, but it's really the first four tasks that really are the big ones, because you find that they're the ones you're going to be applying your tools, your techniques, your concepts, your theories and models to go ahead and come up with a plan for your organization. So in essence, in light of this, what you can see over here, 1 and 2, task 1 and 2 are linked to each other. Task 3 and 4 are definitely linked to each other. And task 5, as you can see, is a very simple appendix that you actually have to include, which just covers the Gantt chart from the point of view of the work that you have actually undertaken. So hopefully that's reasonably straightforward. These are all fairly simple areas which I'm sure you're familiar with. But then this is your breakup of grades. As you can see, literature is 15%. Your knowledge and understanding that, yes, you have understood the various areas of the subject, that's 20%. Your analysis and discussion, 20%. The practical application, the creation of, your plans and so on and so forth, that will be 35%. And then your general skills of sourcing, writing, so on and so forth is 10%. So hopefully that's reasonably straightforward, at the end of the day, in terms of, what is the actually looking at. I was actually going to ask right now, are there any questions on this? Yeah, so go ahead, Jacob, yep.
Yeah, so with regards to the Gantt chart, the timeline that we're referring to is the timeline, the deployment timeline of our strategies that we're talking about in the communication, in the assignment, or the timeline we actually take, physical timeline that we are taking to finish the assignment.
Okay, let's have a quick look at the website. You must outline the key areas of study and research that you have undertaken in a Gantt chart. So it's not about the marketing plan for the company, but it is about your specific work. I hope that makes sense. That's why I said, this Gantt chart is very simple. It's very easy to actually compile. If I had been the setter of this assessment, I wouldn't have given you this. I'd have asked you to have done a Gantt chart for the entire company, for the next 3 years. That's really what should have been given to you. I'm actually wondering if that was given to you in error, but I'm not going to comment on it, but that's fine. So coming back to where I was asking the question, are there any questions that people have at this stage in time, in terms of what it is we're looking at? I've got over here, Sue is asking, the FMCG company, we do engage a survey company and customer. Well, it's up to you. If you want to do a survey, you can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you find there's already surveys in place, you've got data which is already available that you can pick up from online, like Nielsen, for instance, that's fine. We don't have to, use primary data. In fact, we encourage you to use secondary data as much as possible because that's easier to use, given the fact that you've got only 6 weeks to work on it. So yes, please feel free to use, information that's available on databases. I've got Nandini saying, marketing plan and marketing communication plan are the same. No, they're not. Marketing plan is the larger one. Marketing communication plan comes within the marketing plan. Marketing plan has got 7 different elements if you're talking about a service. While marketing communication is just one of those elements, the only thing is that you need to expand the marketing communication plan at a much larger level as compared to the other elements because there's a separate question on that. Okay? So can you combine the 2 parts? Remember what I said, the 2 are already linked. So you're talking about the marketing plan, looking at the various tools of the marketing mix, and you can put the last tool, you can talk about marketing communications and expand it completely because you're talking about the different elements of the marketing communication mix in that particular plan. So hopefully that makes sense, in terms of how it actually works. Any other questions? Yep. Daniel?
Anand, can you explain again one more time the Gantt chart?
Gantt chart is a timeline.
Okay.
It's a timeline across the next 6 weeks where you're going to be constructing a Gantt chart saying, this is how you broke down the tasks across the 6 weeks. How much time did you spend for doing research? How much time did you spend for gathering data? How much time did you spend in writing the report? And then putting things together. It's really about that. That's why I said it's a really simple Gantt chart. Is that clear? Not for 3 years. I said 6 weeks. Yes, 6 weeks, not 3 years. The marketing plan is for 3 years. But the Gantt chart is only for this period of time.
Anand, can I
Examples of
rephrase?
Gantt charts, yep, in fact, you can find plenty of it online. It's very simple to actually construct a Gantt chart. And if you ask me personally, you will construct this Gantt chart in less than 15 minutes. That's all it's going to take you to actually get it done. Yes,
therefore,
that
Anand,
is right. It is about writing your assessment, not about the marketing plan.
Anand,
Sorry, Jiva, you were saying something. Yes, go ahead.
just to correct me, right? So the Gantt chart is basically on the job which we are doing to prepare the
Yes, it
assignment.
is
correct?
about the job that you are doing. It is
All
not
right.
about your company.
Company.
It is
Okay,
about the
thank you.
assessment that you're writing, not about the marketing plan. Okay? Any other questions on the first
Thanks.
assessment? No problem.
And that one will be the under the appendixes, right?
It is will be an appendix. That's correct.
Right.
Gantt chart is an appendix.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions that you have over here? On
Hello,
assessment one?
Mr. Anand.
Yep.
Do you mind? I'm sorry because I got halfway in. Sorry, everyone. Do you mind just rephrasing a bit, task one and task two, just a little bit, because I got disconnected halfway when you were talking.
Sorry, Hanapi, your voice is very muffled. I didn't quite get what you're saying.
Hey, can you hear me? Hello?
I can hear you, but it's all like, it's sort of like as if in a room which is covered with cloth-covered walls. But
Do
sorry,
you
go
mind-
on. Yeah.
Do you mind elaborating a little bit on task one and task two?
Task one is about your evaluating the positioning of the product that you have chosen. And task two is about looking at what are the objectives that you want to go and recommend to the company that they should be achieving. You have to look at 3 different objectives that you think they should be doing in respect to the positioning that they're adopting. Is that clear to you?
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah.
3,000 words for task 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's absolutely correct. So you're roughly do keep in mind that you're breaking along these lines. Will we do 500 words for each? No way. Okay, you're talking because remember, task 2 is you're only coming up with 3 objectives and justifying them. So I'm not too sure that that's going to actually take up an entire 25% of your work. And in fact, task 3 and task 4 are probably going to be taking up much more of your work. I'd probably say it'll definitely take you more than 1,500 words to actually write those 2 different tasks. The other 2 will be slightly less. So don't keep it as a set issue in terms of each task getting so many words. But focus on the 3,000 word so like a layout for your first 4 tasks. Because task 5 is going to be in your appendix, so there are no words involved with that. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, next question. Nandini is asking, do we look at products that companies contemplating on? I don't know as to how you will know about the products that they're contemplating on. You wouldn't know that, isn't it? So it is about the existing products that you have to look at, because you will never be able to know for a fact as to what products they want to launch. Well, I don't. Depends on what you mean by the words well known. I mean, it has to be in this product portfolio. That's it. Whether it's well known, I don't know, because you might know about it and I might not know, or vice versa. So the word well known is a little gray. But like I said, do choose a product which is there within this product portfolio. Task 5 cannot contribute because it is in the appendix. Okay, so that's something. This is a question asked last week. Amount of plagiarism for assignment 1. There is no plagiarism that we accept. If you plagiarize, you will fail. Very simple. Okay, so there's nothing like, it's like asking, how much money do I take out of the till? And obviously the answer will be, you don't take any money out of the till. Okay, that's stealing. Same thing over here too. So plagiarism is unacceptable. Products must be well established. That's your opinion. You're very welcome to it, and you can choose a product along those lines. Okay. Can you share the video
Mr.
marketing
Anand,
series?
about
Sorry, just
plagiarism.
give me 1 second. Share the video on TV. I can't upload the video from the DVD. that DVD is copyrighted. Okay, and that's why I can show it, but I can't upload it anywhere. Okay, it's illegal to do that, and I'm sure you would never ask me to do something illegal, isn't it? Okay, so that's the thing about them. Then let's see, how to apply this in a restaurant service. Of course, you can apply to restaurant service. You just said it's a service, so you apply the 7 Ps. And once you apply the 7 Ps, then it will work for a restaurant also. Can I use NSK Tesco Justco? I don't know what that is. So I'm not too sure what you mean by that. NSK Tesco Justco. It sounds like some kind of horse riding sport at the moment, but I could be wrong. So if you maybe more expansion would be helpful. Tancho, maybe new menu. Again, I don't know what that means. You said Tancho. Okay. Do we need to write Excel summary, introduction, conclusion? Yes, it's a report, so you need to follow the report format. I would advise you to go ahead and write an Excel summary for this. Introduction, the body, which would be broken down different sections based on the various tasks, and then end up with recommendations and conclusions. Yes, I would expect you to do that. That is what we normally do when it comes to a report. Okay. Can you please upload the PowerPoint? Are you paying me for it? I really appreciate some cash. And depending on the amount of cash you give me, I'll definitely get uploading as much as I can. Okay. Hypermarket, Tesco. Yep, of course you can use a Tesco as an example. That's fine. That again is a business, isn't it? So obviously you can use it. Remember I said you can use any business you want to. Any product, any service, that's entirely your choice. Okay, there's nothing which you can't. The only point I said is, can you get information about it? Can you gather data about it? I only gave 7 marketing objectives. Do we need to mention, focus on 3 out of 7? Yeah, choose any 3. Okay, remember I just given you a few. There could be a lot more marketing objectives that you can actually come up with when you start reading up on this. So do try to pick what you believe are going to be the top 3 objectives which you believe are going to be appropriate for this. Okay? We talk about business strategy, relation and marketing. You don't necessarily have to, but I'm sure you realize when you write a marketing strategy, you might want to bring in some of the elements, because let me try and put it straight. Your marketing strategy will have a relationship with the business strategy. The business strategy will decide things like, say, the positioning, the branding issues, and so on and so forth. So there will be a relationship. So if you go ahead and show that relationship, if you ask me personally, I think it would be a good idea to do that, because it will create a larger justification as to why you're coming up with certain plans and strategies for your client organization. So that's my personal statement on that, where it would make sense if you do show the link between marketing objectives and business objectives, and thereby from that, you would develop your marketing plans. That's what I mean. Can the Gantt chart be used in Excel format? I don't see why not. You can. You just do an Excel, copy and paste it onto your Word or PDF document, the appendix, and you've got it. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, I guess, use Excel will work out to be easier to do that. Is there a need to discuss the macro environment, external factors of personal perspective? Okay, that's an interesting question. The one thing which occurs to me in this situation is, if you do a pestle analysis, it will make sense, because based on that, you find you could be developing a marketing mix. There's a relationship between the external environmental analysis and your marketing mix. But if you're going to do that, my personal advice would be that you do the analysis and you put that analysis in your appendix. So you can refer to it from the appendix and then say, based on this, therefore, I'm going to go ahead and make a measure of this. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Does the Gantt chart? Well, of course it doesn't come in the 3,000 word limit. Okay, because we just now said it's in the appendix, isn't it? So it can't be there. Can I explain in bullet points and charts showing the explanation of the product? Of course you can. Okay. So just give me 1 second. Somebody's ringing my doorbell. Just give me a second.
Okay, apologies about that. Yes, people are already apparently up and running, but anyway, no worries. So just give me a second. Can you? I think I was saying, can you explain the bullet points? Isn't it? Charts information. Yes, you can. That's always very welcome. There's a SWOT analysis. Again, it's the same thing I'll say with respect to the pest analysis. If you're doing a SWOT analysis, do it and put it in your appendix, and then refer to it from within the report. Don't put the SWOT analysis inside the report, because then it is likely to hit your word count. Yes, Gantt chart will be placed in the appendix. Yes, I did say that. Okay, fine. Any other questions on assessment one?
Sanan, if you put the Gantt chart in the appendixes, and when you actually upload it in the Turnitin, you will actually count as a part of the word counts, and it will actually enlarge your
Hold
number
on a
of
second.
words.
I'm sure you realize that in the UK university system, we do not count the words in the appendix. We do not count the reference list. We do not count the bibliography. We do not count the title page. Okay, you should be aware of the wisdom. So we do not take that as part of the word count.
Okay, all right.
When you're saying you have no idea on this task one, seriously. We've been talking about it for about 40 minutes right now. And saying I'm not sure about this. Where is the problem for you in this one? When coming back to Shamin, can you choose it? Of course you can. I just said that you can choose any industry, any business. I said that quite a few times. You are very welcome to choose any product or any service. There's no issue on that whatsoever. Point one, positioning. What is the positioning of your chosen product within your chosen company? So what is the position that exists within the minds of the people? How do people see it? How has this positioning been established by the business? That's what point one is about, task one. Okay? Rebecca, we saw it earlier on. Task one, positioning. We looked at things like, say, mass, niche. We looked at high touch.
Yeah, I got
high tech.
that. I got your explanation earlier on. Just
Yeah.
that the earlier part there is also with the use of appropriate marketing models and concepts. So all these are the marketing
There's the
models.
concepts. Yes, exactly.
Oh,
That's right. Yeah.
I see. Thanks.
You have to rate a market strategy, a particular market, which is global. You don't have to assume as global. It's a lot easier if you focus on your local market. So keep it simple, neat, and straight. Because if you do your global market, you're going to complicate it even more. Because I'm sure you realize your pest analysis then will completely go for a 6 in case you're going ahead and doing that. Because then you talk about analysis for different locations. Just one market. Very simple. Okay, don't go beyond that. Okay? A brief example would be useful. As, Gerald, I can't do that. Gerald, you realize that that's going to take forever. First of all, discover. The second place, trying to go ahead and evaluate an example, that's something you should be working on. That's why I give you the outline of the concepts that you have to work on. So you take the company, you take the product, and you apply those concepts in that particular organization, that particular product frame. That's really what you should be doing. Can I use the product? Let me repeat myself once again. You can choose any business, any product, any service, as long as you can get the data and information about it. I hope that is clear to everybody. Okay? Does that make sense? Because people are asking me lots of people, can I choose this company, that company, this product, that product? I said any industry, any product, any service, okay, or any product line. It's and any organization. The world is technically your oyster, really. You know? So
What about references to bibliography? Of course it's necessary. You can't write an academic report without a reference to bibliography. You have to have it. If you don't have it, it's an automatic fail. So if that makes sense. Does the company background need in the assessment? Yes, I would probably advise you to do that, because it doesn't matter what organization you choose. It's always good to give some brief outline of the organization and a little bit of a mention about the product that you're actually choosing. Okay? So to give a brief description of both, so we have a clearer picture of what it is that you're actually focusing on. Okay? Let's say these restaurant outlets in many countries focus on one country. Yes, that's correct. Okay? Marketing the product within the country globally. Within the country, not globally, I say. Okay? All right. Any other questions right now?
Sure.
No? Yep,
Hello.
Chen?
Yeah, want to check with you. Just now you talk about the product is the existing product from that company. If let's say we talk about the product like future product but haven't launched in the market, can
No. See, that's not what they're saying in the question. The question is clearly saying we're talking about a product within the organization, not a product that will be in the organization. The second point is, how would you know what they're going to choose? How do you know what Nescafe is going to launch within the next 5 years? You wouldn't know that. That's why you're choosing an organization which is currently there in its portfolio.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Any other question? Rina says should go to the second assignment. Wow, that sounded like an order. Okay. We mentioned the competitive positioning brief as well. We find that can be useful, because from the point of view of the positioning strategy, we find that one of the areas would be vis-a-vis the competition. So if you do show the relationship between your positioning against what the competition is doing, I think it will be useful. It will be helpful to do that. Yeah. Any other questions? Judith, I can't hear you. You're muted. Okay, she's not talking to me. I understand. Okay, fair enough. Right. Is it better to evaluate one part or better choose it? Okay, I said either a single product or a single product line or a single service. So pick one of these. Okay? So I'll leave that to you to decide which one you think is more appropriate for you. Any other questions?
Hello, Mr. Anand.
Yeah, John?
Sorry, I'm not sure whether I got missed out or not. I just wondering regarding to the company we're choosing, right? Is it the specific? Is it must be local from Malaysia, or we can choose international company as well?
You can choose any company you want.
Okay, is not necessarily. Let's say if I'm from Malaysia, so not necessarily I choose Malaysia company.
Not necessary.
I see. All right, thank you.
Nandini is asking, do you have to talk about the budget and the plans? No, you don't have to. It's not necessary. It's not required. But I'll leave the choice to you if you want to include the budget. Maybe you might want to put the budget in your appendix. That's just a suggestion, but it depends on how many words go into your report. Anybody else? Any other questions? None? Okay. So let's go back here. This is where we left off. We were talking about assessment 1. We have all these various elements. Okay, let's now look at task 2. Task 2, I'm sure you've done someplace previously. Individual presentation paper, where you're creating slides, and the slides are supported by notes, okay, or supporting notes as we tend to call it. And look at this. This is actually based on the presentation paper done in assignment 1. So we've already done assignment 1, we've already done the groundwork out over there, and you're just taking it further in assessment 2. As you can see over there, it's a package that consists of a maximum of 15 slides. Okay? So please do not go over 15 slides. Okay? Do keep that in mind. And here we are. Okay, there we are. Your slides should consist of visuals that you've used while preparing a presentation. So imagine that you're presenting this report that you have created in assignment 1. You're presenting that as a verbal or oral presentation to your client company. Now, when you're presenting to your client company, I'm sure you would definitely put things like visuals. You put in, graphical images. Maybe you'll have photographs of products of the company. You might bring in certain models, which you're going to be applying over here. So you have to ensure that you do have all these visuals as part of your slides. One of the things I've noticed sometimes, and I'm not saying it's in Malaysia, but generally speaking, sometimes students go and write a lot of words in the slides and hardly any visual images. So please ensure that you do create visuals at the end of the day. What are you writing in your presentation? There we are. Okay. You are going to be looking at essentially, the report that you've written in assignment 1. You're actually looking at, how well are you going to apply that over here in your presentation at the stage in time. Okay? So please ensure that you present it well, that it reads through in a logical manner, that it flows throughout your slides, that the slides, when they move from one slide to another, that it makes sense, and actually doing it accordingly. Yeah? So you are, in a sense, you're trying to go ahead and work it out so that when you're standing in front of people and making a presentation of the slides look appropriate. So what do the presentation notes do? The presentation notes go ahead and back up what you have actually said. So when you actually go ahead and you're talking about, the any notes that you're going to be putting out there, please ensure that they do make sense and that they actually go ahead and explain what you have written in your slides. Okay? Also, do not forget, as you can see over here in that last paragraph, you need to include academic and conceptual areas. So it's not just a practical presentation which looks at the recommendations, the marketing plan, the positioning, and so on, the marketing objectives which you put in assignment 1, but you also have to bring in the theoretical issues also in your presentation. So I hope that makes sense to everybody in terms of what it is you're supposed to do. So if you're asking me personally, okay, you find that, just going to close this part here. You have written assignment 1. You were taking assignment 1 and you're giving the form of a presentation and assignment 2. And those slides should be fairly strong, it should be fairly obvious. And if you believe that any of those slides need some explanation in terms of notes, please include those appropriate notes. Okay? I hope, okay. Please. Please remember that you said a slide is equivalent to 200 words. You don't put in 200 words. Okay, please note that that statement. It's very clear out over there. I'm gonna upload that once again so people can see that. There we are. Each of these slides be marked as being equivalent to 200 words. So it's not meant to have 200 words within it. You've seen my slides. I mean, you probably have 30 words per slide. That's it. That's fine. Okay. So please do not pack your slides. So please do not make that mistake. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense to people. So just put in 15 slides and only where required, put in some supporting notes if in case you believe it's going to be useful for you. The slides explain assignment 2 can be referred. Yes, your slides will be based on the first assessment. Please keep that in mind. Okay, so like I said, first assignment is a report format. That same assignment in a presentation format is assignment 2. Okay? Assignment 2 is basically the same as assignment 1, then the references will be the same. That's fine. Hence, creating similar plagiarism over assignment 2. So yeah, I'm sure you're not going to be having it as, it's not going to be a copy and paste job, isn't it? For instance, writing the background of the company, I'm sure you're not going to copy the entire background and put over here. In your slides, you would be putting bullet points. 3, 4 points. That's all it's going to have there. You're going to have a couple of photographs. So you will have to give a condensed version of what you've written in your report in your slides, and mainly there should be bullet points. You really can't go ahead and put in like paragraphs. It wouldn't be appropriate for a presentation. I hope that makes sense to you. So I still do not see a high level of plagiarism coming up. Now, if you use the same sources, that's fine. Because remember, it is going to be the same research, isn't it? It's going to be using both assessments. That's fine. There's no issue in that. But I would assume that the content of the slides would definitely be some differences in that, in terms of the way you're presenting it. I hope that makes sense to everybody. So there will be similarities in some of the content, but the way you present the content is likely to vary to a certain extent in terms of how it's actually going to be done.
Do we like take a picture?
Just give me 1 second, please. Just give me 1 second, please. Or for assignment 2, we don't need references in bibliography. You still need a reference to sign a bibliography for assessment 2. Okay, so please don't forget that. What you don't have to do is, do not put the reference list and the bibliography in a slide. Okay? Create your report in your 15 slides, and after you complete your 15 slides, on the last page, you put the reference list and the bibliography of that. So that way you don't lose out on 2 slides because of references and bibliography. I hope that makes sense. Yeah? So references and bibliography, take it out of your presentation slides. Make it part of your report. So you must have presentation slides and 2 notes. Okay. You don't have to put in notes for every slide. I hope I made that particular point. Put in notes only where you believe it is necessary. Like you believe you need to give it some added explanation to some content in that slide. And again, the notes that you put, don't make it too large. A small paragraph briefly outlining what you will be covering if you are talking in front of an audience. That's all you do. Your main focus will be on the slides. You won't be focusing too much on the supporting notes. Make it brief. Like I said, only apply it wherein you believe it's necessary to explain a slide. Example, how the slides are done. You're doing your slides in PowerPoint, and you take those PowerPoint slides, copy and paste, and then you then upload it onto your portal. It's very simple. Okay, I assume that you might have done a similar assessment previously in the past. That's what I thought it was. Okay. Sandeep, you raised a hand. What do you want to say?
Sorry, no. I was just stretching my hands.
Oh, okay, fine. Okay, no worries. Just to confirm what Shamin says, yes, the school markers will take each slide as equal to 200 words. So if you put in 20 words, if you put in 40 words, that's not the issue. But each slide is counted as equivalent to 200 words. Assignment 2 is a visual representation assignment. Yes, it is a PowerPoint presentation of assignment 1. That's correct. Okay. Slides can be in point form. I would advise you that you put in point form rather than paragraph form. 3,000 words are definitely not necessary. Okay. We can usually press the coin on the board, so you've got to find a way to present the concept on the slide. Yes, exactly, that's true. Which Word program to use? Microsoft Office? MS Word? That's what I'm assuming that you would normally do. Assignment 2 have 15 pages of 10 of visual needs presently. Yes, that's correct. Okay. Assignment 2, a report, meaning the slides and convert to a report format. It can be done after PDF. Yes. Oops. Oh, okay. Coming back to what was being said over here. Yeah, like I said, you take the slides, copy and paste onto Word, and post as a Word document. Or you can copy it onto Word and convert it to PDF. That's entirely up to you. Turnitin will take both Word or PDF. They will not take PowerPoint slides. Okay, so you would have to do the conversion them. 15 slides excluding PowerPoint. So no, just to repeat myself on that one. Cover slide, fine, that's okay. But don't have a slide for references. Instead, take the references out of the slides and put it as part of your report. I hope that makes sense. Right? So essentially, you'll have a title slide and then 14 slides for presenting the report. you have a snapshot of slides. Okay, not a snapshot, like it's just a copy and paste in Word. No reference slide only on the last page. That's correct. Yes. No snapshot. Okay, that's fine. Better slides PDF format. Right. That's pages. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Oh, I think we have covered all this stuff, which means, and any questions, by the way, at this stage in time? Anybody wants to ask something beyond what I've said so far?
Anand?
Yep, Jonathan?
Yeah. Coming back to the slide, right? Okay, you said that 50 slides, the first slide will be for the title and all
Yes.
the stuff. All right, then the 14 balance will be on the report.
Yep.
Then it's including the reference at the last.
No,
right?
it's not including the references. I said take the references out of the slides.
So
Put
it's
it
going to
as a
be like
separate
16
page.
to 16 to 17 slides.
No, I said 15 slides. 15 slides, out of which first slide is your title slide, and numbers 2 to 15 are your report.
Okay.
Yeah. And then outside of the slides, you put your references in bibliography. Your references in bibliography is not going to be in a slide.
Understand. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, and yes, do make 15 slides. There's no plus or minus 10% here. It's a maximum of 15 slides. Okay. Any other questions anybody has?
Sure.
Who's marking? I mean, does it really make a difference who marks, by the way? Don't worry about who's marking. As long as you convince the markers that you should be getting a good grade, that's good enough, you know? Sorry, who is asking a question right now? Is it Chen? I don't know. Okay,
just now you mentioned we can do in the PowerPoint first, then copy paste to the Microsoft. Right? So if let's say the PowerPoint inside got the video, because just now mentioned can we put the video inside, right? Then we
What video? What video are you talking about?
The vision, yeah.
Sorry, Chen, I didn't understand. What video are you talking about?
Advertisement or what? Then we put inside the PowerPoint. Then we move to the.
No, I said visuals. Yeah, pictures. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, picture only. Sorry.
Yeah. No videos. Yeah, video is not necessary. We can't play the videos on Canada.
Oh, okay, understood.
Well, I'm sure that wouldn't make a big difference. Anyway, suppose both of us don't mark, which is highly probable, isn't it? Neither I could be marking or Vincent could be marking either. There could be somebody else who's marking the whole thing. So that shouldn't be too big an issue anyway. The title set will also have our names and details. Well, you could, but remember, you are likely to have a title page anyway, right? And then after you're likely to have your slides up there. So you find the title page would have your details of name and number. So you find that, on the title slide, you could just have the details of the report. So you don't necessarily need your name or number on that one. The slide's background can be put other color. Yes, you can put in any color, any design, anything you want. But treat it like a proper corporate presentation. So you can decide as to how you're going to be presenting that.
And then just to reiterate, so we do it in PPT, PowerPoint, and then we transfer it. So the slides, we can screen capture or rather transfer the slide in an image form into the Word page, but we don't have to add on any further notes down if the notes are already in the slides already, right?
If there are slide notes, okay, I understand. You're talking about the slide notes that you have created in the PowerPoint slide, isn't it?
Not slide notes. Yeah. On the slide itself, there are a couple of words, right? 20, 30 words to just indicate the slide. What is the message in the slide? Now I'm copy pasting the slide into an image and put it on the Word. When I put on the Word, so that's one page. But bottom of that Word, do I need to further indicate anything? I can just copy paste 15 slides into 15 pages. That's done.
That's done. Yeah.
Right. So
what I was saying was there might be some of you who believe that maybe that slide is a little, dare I say, too bare, a little too basic. So I said, if you want to add a little paragraph under a slide, you can do that. That's entirely your choice.
Okay. Then the 16 page is the references and bibliography.
16 would be the reference list, 17 bibliography. Yeah. That's all. Got it. Sure. Just going back to what.
Can we just submit by converting to PDF? the PPT?
Yeah, you can do that. See, it doesn't matter whether you're submitting as Word or PDF, any one of the formats is fine. As long as you find that the slides have been placed on the document.
Okay, that would be much simpler. Thank you.
Norman, yep, I did make a mention of this issue of the references because it is the same piece of coursework. There's nothing wrong with your reference list, being the same as the previous assessment is perfectly okay. We understand that, But we would be seeing the plagiarism reports. If in case you got a high plagiarism level, we want to know why, and if we see that it's because the reference is the same, then that is completely understandable. Assignment 2 isn't after slides, then continue report format. No, you don't. You don't need any other report. It's only the slides only. Title page plus 15 slides plus reference list plus bibliography. I'm not too sure whether you would need appendices for this particular assessment because that's not really required. So you probably might not necessarily have to have it. You have to copy visuals from slides 2 into Word document for submitting. Yes, you do have to. The entire slide comes onto the Word document. References are the same as this. That is correct. Yes. Can you attach in PDF format? Yes. For the product of a choice, do we need to provide like-for-like company analysis from other brands? You can do it. That's entirely up to you. If you would like to go ahead and do that. And if I remember, I did make a mention of it in terms of the report, the first assessment. It might be a good idea for you to think about that when you're actually talking positioning, for instance. Okay, so one slide per page. You can put in 2 slides per page. There's nothing wrong with that. But let's be frank with it. Don't crowd your page. I hope that makes sense. I would never recommend, for instance, somebody to put in 3 slides a page. Try to make your slides as visible as possible. That's why we can say 1, maybe 2 slides a page. That's okay. Okay, but don't go beyond that. So just stick to that particular part of it. So hopefully I've answered the question also about people uploading on Word or PDF. That's completely okay. That's fine. There's no word count for task 2 as long as it's concise. That is correct. Yes. Any other questions from anybody else?
Yeah, Mr. Adnan.
Yes, Arsana?
Yeah, so just now you said that task 2 does not have word count as long as 15 slides, but now we are doing in a report format, right? So would it take consideration those
Where is
notes?
the report format? It's not report format, it's 15 slides.
I mean, when we convert from slides to Word or PDF.
Yeah, that's still
right?
not a report.
Yeah, but if you put notes, would it count that as a word count?
No. See, like I said, I'm not saying that you have to have notes. I'm saying you might require notes if in case you believe that a certain slide needs a certain level of explanation.
Okay.
See, it's like me, when I show a slide, I give an explanation, isn't it? I don't just say, look at the words only and leave it at that. And you might feel the same way too. You might feel that a certain slide needs a bit more of explanation. As I said, if you put in explanation, put a small paragraph, that's all. Don't put in too much. Just a few lines. Okay, that's all we're looking at. It's not a report format.
All right. Thanks.
No problem. Any other questions? Any other clarification of people? No? You sure?
So if anything, we can basically email to you, is it? If you want us anything
Yes.
later on.
Yeah, you have my email address. You're very welcome to email me. Not a problem whatsoever.
Right. Thanks.
Is assignment to the author? It's not. It's the presentation of assignment 1. Assignment 1 was in the form of a report. Assignment 2 is basically if you present your report to a panel within the organization in the form of a PowerPoint, what would you do? That's what it boils down to. So that's why you find that, yes, it would not, have a high level of elaboration like the way you did in your report. Anybody else? Any other questions?
Anand, sorry, Terence
Yes?
here. Just to confirm. So basically, we will be creating 15 slides, and each slide will be taken or assumed as 200 word count, right? and then basically the bibliography and so on, we will put it out of the 15 slides, which is down at the appendix or whatever it is for task 2. Correct?
That is correct, yes.
Right. Okay, then basically like whatever notes we want to put in for each slide, it will also be counted as or assumed as 200 words per slide, right?
We're not going to count the words. Like I said, like you don't need explanation for each slide. For instance, the title slide would not be, you don't require. I said only if you feel that you need to put in notes for certain slides, then you do it. And even if you do it, put it as a small paragraph, not more than a few lines.
Yep. So, I mean, basically per slide is assumed as 200 words. So you are not really bothered about the word count here, right?
No, we're not.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, repeating once again, please be aware, there is no strict word count in this. It's 15 slides with the title page at the beginning, the references after 15 slides, and the bibliography after 15 slides. That's how it works. So we're not looking at the number of words you put in each slide. I hope that's clear to everybody there. Okay. Okay. Any other questions that people have?
Sorry, just want to confirm one thing. The references, we don't need to repeat that, right? In the
Well, you do need to have a reference list here for your second assessment. Yes, I mentioned that. Every assessment that you do has to have references and bibliography. Anybody else? Any other questions that anybody has? This one?
Yeah, so Anand, if it is on the second assignment, on the 15 slides, is there, if you, something like code the framework tools that has been used, and it is something like just 5 references, or would that number of,
I really
5 references or less than 10?
I think that 5 references would give you the amount of information that you're looking for. See, very simple. Look at the tasks. You've got positioning, you've got marketing objectives, you've got the marketing mix, you've got IMC, you've got about the organization, you've got about the product. That alone comes to 6 different areas. And even the marketing mix, if you talk about, say, if you're looking at maybe all 7 Ps for a service, that makes it 6 more. That makes it 12. You see, the number of sources are likely to keep going up. So I really can't even imagine how you'll be able to restrict only 5. There'll be a lot more than 5 as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
Any other questions from anybody else? Jeevatha, we can't hear you. You're still muted.
No, I totally get it, what we are supposed to do.
Okay, cool. No, it's just that because I can hear what you're saying. Anybody else? No? Well, I wouldn't be able to see you getting everything only from Portal alone. Because remember, you're all master students. So we do expect you to read as many books as possible. Otherwise, life becomes too easy for you, isn't it? You want, obviously, different sources. See, my bachelor students, okay, they're obviously very different people. We actually say you have to have a minimum of 10 different sources. So imagine for master students, a lot more than that.
There is one more question. Can you hear me, Anand? Yeah?
Yep, can hear you, Daniel, yep.
On the assignment number 1 and on the questions number 5, this Gantt chart, how many Gantt charts and how many charts that it is appropriate to put in there? Because if I look
just
at the question
Gantt chart.
Just one Gantt chart.
Yeah, just one Gantt chart because it's only talking to your assessment. That's it. You don't need anymore. That's why I said it's very simple. Task 5. That's why I said your assessments are so easy. When I did my masters, we had much tougher tasks, and we actually had like 4 assessments per module.
Just a bit of more focus on the clarity part of it. With this still on the same question number 5. On this Gantt chart here, You said it is only one now. What do I put in here? If it is key studies, key areas of study.
Key. What we're talking about over here is the timeline for the research and work that you've done on your first assessment. So how much of time did you take for your research? How much time did you take for your literature review? How much of time, it takes you to go ahead and write the report? How much time does it take for you to go ahead and review it and check it? It's really the timeline. Any other questions from anybody else? No other questions? Sure. Well, Ezekiel, actually, Tancho responded to you. I think you missed out that response out of there. He said, yes, that is correct. Right, I'm going to go ahead and put this down in the chat box just to remind people. That's my email address. Oh, sorry, there's a dot missing there. It's actually anand.walser at lselondon.co.uk. So, like I said earlier, yes, you can email if there's any doubts, any clarifications. Gantt chart will be across the next 6 weeks. That's what it's supposed to cover. Yeah. So that period of time in terms of how you have to break it down. So like I said, you can keep touch with me. You can go and ask any questions that you might have on this. And like I remember for international business, quite a few of you did get in touch with me at various points in time, asking me a lot of questions about the assessment. So yes, you can do the same thing over here. No issues with it whatsoever.
Anand?
Yes, Jay Vilata?
Coming back to the Gantt chart, right? Just to check with you, yeah? Why is it necessity that the Gantt chart is being done on what are we going to do? Doesn't it supposed to be for the 3 years of the product?
Well, see, that is what I'm now sharing that page again with you. There we are. You must outline the key areas of study and research you have undertaken. So if you're asking me why they're asking you this question, I don't have an answer to that one as to why they asked the question. Like I said, if I was setting the paper, you wouldn't be getting this assessment at all. You'd be getting a much more challenging piece of work. Okay, this is like kindergarten stuff, you know? Like you can write this Gantt chart in 15 minutes. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, the Gantt chart, yes, it is. But coming to think about it, why are we just confusing there?
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. I mean, why do people ask you certain questions? I'm not too sure.
Also, you did not prepare these questions?
I didn't know. This is definitely not my style at all. Like I said, I'd give you a much tougher piece of work. I'll put your nose to the grindstone. Because I believe, that the MBA should be earned in a much more different manner. Any other questions from anybody else? No, you sure? Okay, if there are no questions on that note, I'm going to leave it at that. So do take care, everybody. Do look after yourselves. All the best for your program. I'm fairly certain I will not be seeing you again because usually they don't put me up for two modules for a single group, but it's happened this time around. So anyway, I didn't make the decisions. So do ensure that you do well in the rest of the assessments, that you do graduate in style, come up with an MBA program with all the success that you guys deserve. And I think I made a message last time around. If in case you do drop into London at some point in time, do come and visit us at LSE. We're actually a 5 minutes walk away from the London Bridge, a stone's throw away from the tube station and from the train station. And you can come in and say hi to us. And I think I did make a mention last time around that if you do come over to visit us, I will take you out for a drink. Not an issue whatsoever. Not for a meal, not for a buffet, but for a drink. Make that point very clear, so we don't have any misconceptions on that whatsoever. So fine, do take care, all the best, and like I said, best wishes to your families too. Bye everybody, see ya.
Thank you,
Thanks, Mr. Anand.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Happy Easter, yeah, happy Easter to all of
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah,
Take care.
happy Easter to you.
Thanks, Anand. Thanks, Anand.
Great presentations.
Why didn't he talk about uploading the slides? Oh my God.
Thank you, Mr. Anand. Oh, gone.
Escape.
I think we just bring this up to the admin. Maybe they will ask him for the slides.
I think he will upload the slide, just that he never answered. Yeah.
The
He always
admin
ask for
inside,
money.
still inside here, right?
Actually, everything is unknown, you know.
Is that the,
I
is that the
totally
admin
don't
still
have
here?
idea what to come, what have to start it.
Okay, bye everyone. Good weekend.
Bye everyone.
Yeah,
Happy
bye everyone.
weekend.
Have a great
Happy
weekend.
Easter, everyone.
Okay. Hey, have a nice weekend, everybody.
You too, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Happy
Bye-bye.
Easter.
Happy Easter.
And to the Muslims, selamat mula Ramadan tu.